All right, now we're good.
Perfect. Let
Preparing to
me
live stream the meeting.
make sure. Let me get into the studio and make sure that we are live.
Okay, it's still, the red bar is still running.
Okay.
So just in a second.
Good to know.
All right, done. So,
So we should be live right now. We are live right now. You're good to go.
all right. Sorry for the delay, everybody.
All right, good evening, everyone. Happy snow day. We were having a few technical difficulties, so sorry for a few minute late start, but if I'd like to call the meeting to order, if you could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If we could have the roll call, please.
Peggy Bossy,
Here.
Paul Godwin,
Here.
Chris Huster,
here.
Karen Kellums,
Here.
Dan Downey.
Here.
This meeting is a meeting of the Deer Park Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Due to the COVID-19 national pandemic, community input is being suspended for this meeting. However, public comments will be accepted via this link.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving tonight's meeting agenda, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. District recognitions and donations.
Yeah, would you like me to share my screen so everybody can see the agenda, or
Okay.
does everybody have those?
I don't
I have, Karen doesn't have hers.
Okay, I will share it with you then, Karen. Just 1 second. Okay, does everybody see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we do have one donation this evening that I'd like to talk about. The Board of Education, I would like the Board of Education later on during superintendent recommendations to accept the donation in the amount of $350 that is being received from the Mady family. That'll go towards supplies for Sandy's Closet, helping those community members that are in need. I believe one of the Madys used to work in Deer Park, from what I understand. I think it was before my time here. I do not know Mrs. Mady, but I think she used to work in the district and wanted to help Sandy's Closet after seeing everything that happened in the past. So thank you to the Mady family, and I will ask you to accept that donation a little bit later on in the meeting.
Yes, thank you. Wonderful donation. I also saw in regard to the closet that they're going to be open on a Saturday. So thank you to whoever is making that happen. I think that's wonderful.
Great.
All right, moving on to approval of minutes. May I have a motion for the January 5th, 2021 organizational and regular meeting minutes?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Any questions, discussion, changes? All right, all those in favor of approving the January 5th, 2021 organizational and regular board meeting minutes, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. A motion for the January 19th, 2021 regular board minutes.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Any questions, discussion, changes? All those in favor of approving the January 19th regular board meeting minutes for 2021, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Jeff, you're up with your financial report.
All right. I have the January 2020 monthly financial report. Couple things of note. The function 2300 is up on a year-over-year basis due to some legal expenses. And overall, our percent of budget is at 51.2%. So currently, we're in a good position as far as expenditures go so far this year. And that's all I
Move to
have. for my
accept,
report.
move to accept the financial report.
Second.
And the only comment I have is I believe that should say 2021. So if we are all good, anybody else have anything?
Yeah,
There we
All
go.
those in favor of approving the January 2021 monthly financial report, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
We don't want to do 2020 again.
No,
Exactly.
we don't.
Okay, okay, just so, let's clear
We're
that.
over it. All right, you have some recommendations for us, Jeff.
Yes, a recommendation to authorize to invest. I have a redemption from Star Ohio Plus for $611,510.53. This is just moving the monies from Star Ohio Plus to Star Ohio. And I also have a Star Ohio redemption for 1 million even, which is to pay for the accounts payable, payroll, and any outstanding checks.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the authorization to invest redemption from Star Ohio Plus and the redemption for Star Ohio, please signify by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
And lastly, I have one more recommendation. It's for the establishment of an account. It is to track the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund 2, provided through the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2021. It'll
So
be
moved.
account 507 Special Cost Center 9021.
No move, I'll second.
Questions or discussion?
So would you like to just share a little bit about this, Jeff?
Yes, this is monies we will receive similar to the CARES Act. This was, I think, approved on the legislative level in December. I think it's what, Jay, you might have
$1,029,000.
$1,029,000 approximately.
When do we have to share with them what we're using it for?
We have received a draft budget through the CCIP, not even through the CCIP, a draft budget form, which we've already done. We have not submitted through the CCIP because I have not seen that yet, unless Jeff has already seen it and done it.
I've not seen it.
A big portion of this, and actually I feel like we were ahead of the game here in Deer Park, and I was going to talk a little bit about this, but if you recall back in December, I think I even mentioned in a board meeting, I was working on with our leadership team on what we were calling our Deer Park academic recovery process, just from the learning loss that has happened through COVID, which is, I think, inevitable when kids aren't in school every single day. There's going to be some gaps there. So what I wanted to do with our, and obviously in collaboration with our leadership team and our teachers, was provide opportunities for our kids to be able to close some of those gaps. And so Stacy and Josh and Shane have been working on those plans really for about the last 4 weeks. And we're all ready to set in action some of those plans, which we'll talk about during my superintendent report. But then also that'll lead into the summer, and we're going to be providing quite a few opportunities for our kids over the summer as well. And it's not all, it's not going to be regular school by any means. I mean, we're going to provide some incentives, and there'll be some things that'll encourage our kids and our families to participate. But a lot of these funds will be used to pay our staff and our teachers to be able to come in and work with our kids in an extra capacity beyond the normal school day to try to close some of these gaps. So that's where a large percentage of these dollars are going to go. And come to find out, again, I said we were one step ahead. Last week, the governor, during one of his press conference, talked about that he hasn't quite made it an official, I guess you could say, it's not legislation at this point, but he made an official request that schools begin working on a plan to close these achievement gaps. So we were about 2 months ahead of the governor on that. I think that's a good thing because we've already put these plans, we've already developed a lot of these plans and are putting some of them into play already beginning next week. So.
All right,
Thank you.
any other questions?
No.
All right, all those in favor of approving account 507-9021 to track the elementary and secondary school emergency relief fund 2, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And
Thank you,
I do want, can I add one other thing I didn't say? I just want to say, since we're talking financials at this point, you know, the $1,029,000 must go to supplant costs. So costs that we would spend related to COVID, and that's why this academic recovery falls into that. But it also must be spent by, I believe it's September of 2023. So they're not funds that you can, you know, pad your cash balance with and, you know, be able to extend your cash balance. They are meant to supplant. And if you don't use it to supplant, you don't get the monies.
So this process and money can go all the way through next year and next summer,
That's correct.
correct? Okay.
So I just wanted to add that.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to superintendent reports.
Yeah, I have a few different reports this evening. The first report I want to start off with is Dr. Orso with a curriculum report. I'm sure she'll probably talk a little bit about academic recovery within that report. So Dr. Orso, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thank you. Hi, everybody. So that was a great segue. I will start with the academic recovery and sort of what it's looking like at each of the buildings. Amity is calling theirs Amity After School Academy, and Josh sent home parent letters last week, and teachers have been working to get students signed up. Right now, he has over 20 students signed up, and I know that the teachers are working to get more students on that list as we speak. The weather has just been a little bit difficult, and then with the vaccine and things. So they're working to still get some more students on those lists, and teachers are really targeting at Amity to have hopefully their own students after school. And so if you're a first grade teacher, they're hoping to have their own first grade students after school. So that's the goal there. They're going to be holding their after school academy Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3:15 to 4:15, and both buildings plan to kick this off next week. At the junior senior high school, Shane's been working really hard on targeting the students. He's using MAP data in order to do that, to determine which students would most benefit from the after school program. They are going to be targeting students in grades 7 through 12. They're going to be holding it 1 day a week. And right now they have 4 teachers signed up to be able to do that. And it's a mix of ELA and math teachers that are going to be supporting that. They're also going to be building in some great incentives to go along with it. Anything from Wildcat t-shirts to some treats, ice cream, sundaes, a pizza lunch, and even at the junior senior high school, I think for perfect attendance, Shane, Mr. Hartley is going to be offering an athletic pass to students who show up and have perfect attendance. They'll have an athletic pass to all athletic events. So that's the plan for the remainder of this year. Once we sort of have that underway and feel like that's going smoothly, then we're going to start talking about summer and what that's going to look like. But just to sort of give you a very general overview, we're looking to do something sort of like a summer camp type of thing, and we're going to build in some fun activities for the students too, and do a combination of math and ELA, and do like 2-week camps, and students would have the opportunity to sign up for multiple 2-week sessions or just 1 2-week session, depending on what the summers look like for families, but being able to offer something more of like a camp type of feel over the summer for our students. Shane or Josh, anything that you want to add to that I did not touch on before I go on to the next thing?
Before Shane and Josh jump in there, I just want to say you touched on this, Stacy, but I want to make sure everybody understands we're targeting reading and mathematics. Is really, those are the 2 content areas and skills that we're targeting throughout this academic recovery process. And really, when the governor talked about it last week, he hinted at extending the school year, whether on the front end or the back end, or offering summer type sessions. I don't think he really intended for us to offer sessions after school, although it's not prohibited. So I think what we're doing prior to even hitting the summer is above and beyond, I think, what anybody else would even expect. So, obviously at the junior, senior high, there's some pieces to that regarding extracurriculars and things like that, kids being able to attend. But at Amity, hopefully we can get target our most at-risk kids and even our bubble kids that, maybe have fallen below that proficient level, that we can bring them back up to grade level and beyond through this program.
May I ask a question? How many kids are we targeting? Shane, do you think you're going to be targeting at high school, at junior high and high school?
Looking at 7 through 12,
Right.
actually it ended up being more 7 through 10, math and ELA. We have about 10 per section, and there's some crossover there too. So, I don't know, maybe 60, no, probably closer to 80 kids.
Okay.
And we're getting the ball rolling on that. All the parents have been emailed so far, and we're slowly getting some responses. We sent home some letters last week also, as Stacy alluded to, with some snow days and with our vaccine day. We haven't got all those back yet, so we're going to keep pushing through this week and make some phone calls, but probably around 80.
Thank you.
But it's open for any kid that wants to take it, right?
That was going to be something that I was going to hop in and talk about. While we'd love to have every single student stay and be a part of the after school program, unfortunately, we can't do that. And so we had to be selective, as Jay said, in terms of looking to select those kids that are at risk or on the bubble, and trying to go that route right now to intervene.
So what we're trying to do, Karen, is close the gap. And so, and alleviate some of that learning loss. And so we're trying, and the other piece of that, in the small time that we have, we're trying to keep these groups small. We're 6 to 8 is what we were really targeting for each teacher at a time. Up to, as Shane talked about, maybe 10 at the junior, senior high school. But, if there is a parent who says, hey, that doesn't specifically get a call or a letter that we've targeted to be a part of this, and says, my kid is way behind or, really struggling, they can call their principal, talk to their principal, and we'll work through that with those specific families to figure out the best solution for them.
Okay. So then,
So, okay.
what
Go ahead,
did the
Sharon.
letter look like? I mean, I just want to make sure it didn't get lost in their school, their stuff, and then it just gets tossed aside. Not saying I would do that, but.
So what we did, we were trying to prevent that from happening. We sent home hard copies as well as emailed versions of the letter, looking to get a hold of parents in a variety of different ways. So it would be one of two places, in folders or in an email inbox.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Josh, during the summertime, will you be able to target more kids and different kids than we're doing after school?
Just like Stacy said, so we've got this program going in about less than a month,
Right.
and we have been focusing all of our energy on getting this up and running. And so our initial goal is to get this up and running and successful in that first session. In terms of, we have a draft of what the summer looks like, but we don't have those details yet. But obviously, the more sessions we offer, the more kids we can offer them to.
And here's
Outstanding.
what else I would add to that, Mrs. Huster, is that, we're going to give our staff the first opportunity to help us facilitate these sessions. But, our goal is to get as many kids that are in need through these sessions as possible. And if we don't have the staff, we're going to target our Hamilton County ESC. I know Stacy's probably already working on that, targeting our Hamilton County ESC instructional specialists. And also another partnership we have, as you guys know, is with Forward Edge, and they have a bunch of instructional specialists that aren't specifically tech as their background, but they integrated technology into their instruction. And that's what they're really good at. But during the summer, they don't have a ton of projects. So I've already been in contact with Forward Edge to say, hey, if we need to facilitate this with some supplemental instructional specialists, can you help us? And they have said yes. So we're going to give our teachers first dibs, and you know, a lot of it is how many adults do we have that are going to be able to run this session with other things that they have going on as well. I'm going to personalize, but we're going to supplement from outside resources also, if needed. We would like our teachers to do it though first, if we can.
Absolutely.
Okay, Steve.
Okay, so the only thing I'll say in closing with that is the summer program will be slightly different because we can have students for a little bit longer. So we're looking at maybe like 2 hours a day for multiple days a week. And so while right now the teachers are going to be pulling from resources that they currently have for targeted intervention, over the summer we're looking at possibly adding some additional curriculum supports. And we're talking with our curriculum coaches for math and ELA, Amberger and Karen Crema, to help support us with finding the appropriate resources for students that are going to be engaging. And, you know, we are asking students to come in over the summer. So we want it to be something that is engaging for them, something that they look forward to. So we're working with them on some really great curriculum ideas for the summer as well. Okay, if there's no other questions, I will move on to the ELA adoption that we're looking at for kindergarten through 6th grade. It is going really well. We have Karen Crema from Hamilton County, who is our ELA coach, and she is dedicating a lot of her time, most of her time second semester, to Amity Elementary to help support the curriculum adoption. So far, each of the grade level bands have looked at and reviewed about 3 to 4 curriculums each, and a lot of those are based on the ed reports, which give us a breakdown of what those curriculums look like, feasibility, how user-friendly they are, how rich in content they are, if they have diversity for learners. And so it breaks all of those components down for us. And so we only chose materials that were high in all of those areas for teachers to start to preview. And so each grade level band has previewed about 3 to 4. And then Karen has facilitated Zoom or some sort of virtual call with every publisher that each of the grade level bands is working with. And so the teachers are able to get on those Zooms, see a preview from the publisher themselves, and then the publisher has sent teachers hands-on materials that they can try in their classrooms. And so teachers are working through that process right now. The next step is to really talk about vertical alignment and start to narrow down what we're looking at as far as, you know, trying to get our grade level bands on the same page with the vertical alignment piece and narrow it down to 2 to 3 each. And then from there, we want to bring in parents. We want to have some parent involvement with some of those components as well to gauge what parents are looking for with a curriculum adoption, and then engage the teachers in some further conversation before we make any final decisions with what curriculums we're going to go with. Right now, it's kind of looking like a K2 grade level band. They're looking at things that are very similar, and then you have your 3-5, 3-6 to see what they're eventually going to land on. But they are starting to narrow things down and ask some of those critical questions that really get to the bottom of what we're doing in the classroom every day with the teachers, so, and the students in learning. So that's kind of where that is right now. They were going to meet with Karen last week about vertical alignment, but things had to get pushed because of the vaccination day. So right now we're just looking at rescheduling another day for them to be able to get together and have some of those conversations around that. The other piece I'll throw out there is we do have 4 teachers who have signed up to do a pilot. Collaborative Classroom, being a writer, is offering a free pilot for any teacher that wanted to try it out for the entire semester. And so we have 4 teachers that have signed up to receive all of those materials. So they don't get like a preview, they get the actual curriculum that they get to implement for an entire semester or the rest of the year, and really dig into what those materials look like. And so we do have 4 teachers that are going to be working through that in conjunction with Karen Crema, who's going to be supporting them in that work, so that we can decide if that's something that they may be interested in moving forward with as well. So they'll get even more than a preview with that material. Any questions about the ELA adoption? Okay.
No.
Okay, And then the last thing that I had was I just wanted to give you an update that if you remember last year, we talked about Terrace Metrics, which is that social emotional tool that we used at the junior senior high school just before COVID hit. And so we got through 2 grade levels and then we weren't able to complete it. And it really does give us that predictor for the behavioral health status of our students and our building at the junior senior high school as a whole. And so we are going to pick that back up where we left off, and we are going to do an assessment with all 6 grade levels at the junior senior high school in March prior to spring break. And so we have been working with Terrace Metrics to get that set up. And Mr. Hartley and I and the counselors have a meeting with Best Point next week to really narrow in on dates and what grade levels we're going to target for each of those dates, and just review the questions to make sure that we're all on the same page and that we can support the students when needs do arise. But we do plan to have all of that completed before students leave for spring break.
Which we anticipate the needs being pretty high this time around with COVID and everything else. The mental health needs have increased significantly that we've been seeing. I think everybody's been seeing.
Which is sort of the reason we're doing it, because we realize that this is just a really difficult time for our students, and we want to make sure that we've got our finger on them and we're providing the supports that they need. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Stace. Any other questions for
Thanks.
Stacy before I move on?
No.
No.
Okay. Thank you. Jake, communications report, if you want to take it from here.
Yep, absolutely. Good evening, everybody. A lot of fun things to talk about tonight, but I'll make it brief. Couple of quick housekeeping things. I wanted to mention that Cindy Holman and Pam Gilreath are the ones who are running the clothing closet on that Saturday afternoon. I just want to make sure that their names get mentioned here, because that's pretty awesome that they're doing that for our families. There's a ton of clothes in there. Right now, winter clothes, everything people need. If there is a need for it, go and shop anytime during the week, and then go on that Saturday. Patty, can you help me with the date on that? I don't have it on offhand here.
The 20th of February.
The 20th of February. Thank you. I think 8 to noon is when they're planning on running that. So just wanted to say thanks to them, because that's awesome that we're going to be able to offer that on a weekend as well. Second piece that's just technical things is this was our first winter weather kind of thing that has happened since the new all-call system. So I'm happy to report that it was pretty successful. We didn't hear a whole lot from people who had missed calls, and if we did, we were able to identify those issues over the last couple of weeks. We've had 3 all-calls that went out in the last 2 weeks, I should say. So we've been able to kind of hone those processes. And then you also should have received a text message this week if you have a cell phone. That was something Jay came to me and asked about right after our first one went out. And that's something we are able to do. So we gave that a shot, and I think it worked out pretty well as well for people who, maybe the phone goes to voicemail or any of those different issues. They're still able to get that information. So was happy with how that went out and kind of how we've evolved with that process. All right, the fun stuff now. First thing, last month I talked about the Amity Virtual Library and I was a little vague about what was happening, but I think that's going to be finished within the next week or so. And this was a grant that Cheryl Walsh received to build essentially a virtual library for students. And so within the next week, we'll be unveiling this thing. And the idea behind it is that students will be given login information. It'll be the same login info as their emails and usernames to get into their computers. And they'll actually be able to log into a website and check out books that we have a subscription through this virtual library to be able to read those books. It'll be just like a library. You can check one book out, you have to give it back and check a different one out. So that part's awesome. But the really cool part is over the past 2 weeks, we've actually been filming our students reading either books that are their favorite books or books that they've written themselves that will also be a part of that virtual library. So they'll be able to watch other students through Deer Park, through Amity specifically, reading their books. And the hope is that we'll refresh those every couple of months and add those in. So pretty cool little piece to that. Huge thanks to Cheryl. All of our readers, you'll see all that stuff coming out over the next couple of weeks. So really excited about how that's going to turn out and that whole thing. So next thing on my list is that we have we attempted our first live stream on Friday of the first grade toilet paper roll race. So if you know Amity well, it's one of the more exciting events that happen at Amity. And this year, obviously, if you've been to it before, the gym is usually packed full of all of the first graders cheering each other on. So we weren't able to do that this year. So the first grade team came to me a couple of weeks ago and asked if we could live stream it. So what we were able to do was actually set up a camera. We mic'd Mr. Huster and Miss Hermanson, and they were commentating on the toilet paper roll race, and it was shown to the first grade classes live. It wasn't a public stream just with kids, making sure that we were taking privacy issues and all of those things, but we had 4 cameras going at different points that we were filming that we're going to turn into a highlight video of those races that will be out soon, hopefully within the week this week. It was a ton of fun. It was about a 15-second delay between the race and the kids seeing it in their classrooms. So it was a ton of fun to hear them cheering on the kids after they had won the race. So really enjoyed that. And it was a really cool thing. And it was a good test for something else that we've got coming up on February 26th. We are actually going to do a live stream for our homecoming court announcement. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to set it up on camera. This one, we're actually going to do publicly, public facing because it's high school kids. And we're going to announce the homecoming court and then the winners of the homecoming king and queen. And we're going to do all of that live from the gym so that parents can watch and all of those things. I think that starts at 2:00 on Friday, February 26th. So another exciting kind of piece that we've got going on, and just things we're playing around with to kind of create these experiences for kids that end up virtual or different ways a lot of times. So 2 more things here. I was able to get out to almost all of our winter sports. Unfortunately, men's bowling got canceled on me last week, and it shut down the rest of their season. But everyone else we have photos of. You can actually see a couple of the photos updated on our website, the front page of the website. They turned out really, really great. And so we'll have full galleries of those on the website that you'll be able to take a look at. And then something I'm working on right now with that is in the spring, once we get our spring photos, we're actually going to create a Google Drive where parents will be able to go in and get the full size version of those photos. So on our website, they're a little small. You can look at them, they're nice, but you can't get the full size version of them. So hopefully by the time we get to the early spring, get a couple of games from the softball and track and baseball, we're going to share out those photos so that parents will be able to have high resolution images of their kids playing their sports, which will turn out really, really nice. So happy about that. And then the last piece is Sarah Godwin and I are officially starting filming on Thursday of our Parker's documentary. I've talked a little bit about this before, but we're starting with interviews this coming Thursday. And the plan is a release date of April, and I've got it right here, April 28th is the plan. We'll communicate some details out about that, but it's going to be a ton of fun. We're looking forward to it. The kids are going to perform acts just like they would in a normal Parker's. So we'll be including all of those inside of the video. And those tickets, virtual tickets, will be available for purchase. That will include all kinds of different packages for people to be able to watch the documentary, either the whole documentary or just the acts. And we're going to have some different levels of being able to purchase. So April 28th is when that's coming out, and we'll have a lot more details about that kind of over the next couple of weeks as we start to promote that and really push all that info out. That is everything on my list. If anybody's got any questions for me, I'm happy to answer those.
I want to say thank you because I think that you're hitting all kids in the community and the buildings. And I think that's really important because this is a difficult time. And so when I see those things pop up, you can't help but smile and then go back and click on them again. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
All right. Thank you, Jake. And the The last piece of the report this evening is Mr. Smith with the Great Oaks report. So Mr. Smith, you have the wheel on this one.
Thank you very much. First thing I wanted to present is our high school applications update. On February 9th was the priority deadline for the high school applications for the 21-22 school year. And after that, this date, the applications that are still received and the students will be accepted for the remaining openings, but they will not be the priority. As of the day this date, we have 1,749 applications have been submitted. That is lower than what we had last year at this time, but it is higher than in 2018 and 2019. So we are, even with we're not sure about the COVID impacts with all this, but still feel comfortable that our enrollment will be hitting the goals and we can have our planning meet the goals that have been set. One good thing is that our enrollment trends overall, our final enrollment trends since 2015 have been going up based on the new programs we've been offering at our main campuses. Regarding that, there's a new program we're looking at starting. Is an aviation maintenance technician program with a partnership with Cincinnati State. And this is a program that Great Oaks and Cincinnati State Community College are working on an agreement to offer aviation maintenance technician program for the high school students at the Cincinnati West Airport location. And it's near Harrison High School. And I believe Cincinnati State operates that airport location. So the program will be modeled after our maintenance technician program that we have at Laurel Oaks. And the initial steps into this program will be gauging interest in the offering. And currently Great Oaks has 8 applications for the program. This program will offer our students some FAA certifications and college credits to the junior colleges that support these type of programs. So that is looking up, and it'll offer more job-ready type offerings to our students. Then in regard to that, our campuses, we are looking at new programs and which then start building projects for us. And we are starting at the Diamond Oaks campus to build out the Vision Care Technologies labs. We're renovating at the Diamond Oaks campuses, also the cosmetology, exercise science, and sports medicine programs that we have. And at Scarlett, we are building new labs for HVAC and heavy equipment operations for adults. We do have heavy equipment operations now at the Live Oaks campus and at the Scarlett Oaks campuses where we're using those 2 programs. We've moved our Laurel Oaks down to Live Oaks for those kids during the day with our new renovations that we're doing. And that is the end of my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. Appreciate it. All right, the last piece of the report this evening, as always, I want to talk a little bit about COVID-19. Actually have some good news on, I think, on both points that I want to talk about. First of all, staff vaccinations went really well last Thursday. 83% of our staff were vaccinated last Thursday, and our next vaccination, dose 2, is scheduled for March 11th. We did send communication home for that. Conferences will now be March 11th, and we will actually, March 4th and 5th were originally conference days. Those are now going to be full in-person school days, so our students will be in school. March 11th is vaccination day, but also conferences will be from 8 to 3. Vaccinations will actually be from 12 to 3, trying to avoid any side effect issues. From what we've been told, from the experiences others have had, and what Mercy Health is telling us, side effects can be pretty severe after a second vaccine. Severe flu-like symptoms, aches, pains, just people have gotten pretty sick over the second vaccine, and the onset can be as early as 2 hours after that dose. after that injection. So hopefully by having the vaccines from 12 to 3 and conferences 8 to 3, teachers will be home and we'll be able to ride out that kind of that storm of the second vaccine that impacts a significant amount of people from what I hear. March the 12th, that Friday, what was scheduled as a half student day for the end of the quarter and a half teacher records day. That day, there will be no students that day at this point, and teachers will be getting their records in on March the 12th and then being able to recuperate from the second dose of the vaccine. And that's exciting though, to have that second dose in and be able to move forward. Like I said, that was kind of the light at the end of the tunnel for us, and hopefully we'll be able to move forward from there. The other, I think, positive COVID-19 update that I wanted to talk about is, as of today, the end of day today, going into tomorrow, here's where we stand currently. At Amity Elementary, we have one staff member who's considered positive / probable right now. I say positive / probable because they really look at those two as being one and the same. So we have one staff member, 0 students currently at Amity. And at Amity, we have 0 students and 0 staff that are currently quarantining. At the high school, we have 0 staff that are now considered positive or probable. We do have 2 students that are considered positive probable. 1 staff member is quarantining and 2 students are quarantining. So our numbers look significantly better than they did just a few weeks ago. And that's to be expected. A couple weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, we started having a flare up at the high school. And we are now 10 days out from that. So all of those students are back and we're looking pretty good. At the Board of Education office, we have 0 students or staff that are positive and or quarantined at this time. So we're looking good from a COVID perspective. Any questions about any of those pieces? Okay, Mrs. Bossy, that's the end of my superintendent reports for this evening.
Thank you very much, and thank you to Stacy and Jake and Steve for providing all that information for us. We will move on to recommendations.
Yes, so my first recommendation is to accept the $350 in donations towards supplies for Sandy's Closet, which is located at the Deer Park Board of Education office, and the donation being given by the Mady family.
So moved. Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor of accepting the $350 in donation towards supplies for Sandy's Closet, please signify by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. My next recommendation is to approve the contract of services with Hamilton County Developmental Disabilities effective August 2021 through June 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the Hamilton County Developmental Disabilities Service contract from August 2021 through June of 2022, please signify by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I do have some personnel this evening. I recommend that you approve the administrative contracts of Josh Drewer, Shane Hartley, Mindy Robertson, Jake Snyder, and Dave Conover listed below.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the renewal of administrative contracts for those listed, please signify by stating aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Great to
Thank
keep
you.
the team together.
Yes. My next recommendation is to approve the supplemental contracts for the 2021 school year of those coaches and program coordinators listed below.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the supplemental contracts for the 2020-2021 school year as listed, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Our next recommendation is to approve Jacob Crone as a volunteer for the junior senior high school football team for the 2020-2021 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving Jacob Crone as a junior, senior high school football volunteer, please signify by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And I know some of you may be saying, well, football's over for this year. Why are we approving a volunteer? I believe he's helping in the weight room right now. So just an FYI on that. And my last recommendation is to approve the rescinding of the supplemental contract listed below for Stacia McKeever.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor of rescinding the supplemental contract, Stacia McKeever as class advisor for juniors for the 2020-2021 school year, please signify by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And that is the end of my recommendations this evening.
All right. Building and Grounds did meet this evening, so we'll move on to superintendent committees.
Okay, thank you. So for Building and Grounds, Mr. Godwin, Mr. Downey, or Mr. Kellums, do you guys want to touch on some of the highlights from this evening?
Don't everybody speak up at once.
Exactly.
It was a short meeting.
Very short.
Number of issues, ongoing issues at Amity that are close to being resolved. There was a problem with some of the curtains in the gymnasium that they've figured out. They're still trying to get the light issue in the 6th grade room wing taken care of. And a couple of HVAC issues that they think they got a good solution on handling that. And it appears that we may be moving in the direction of replacing the lighting in the gym with LED lights as opposed to the fluorescent lights that are currently in there. And as a side note, we're going through lots of salt for some strange reason. So, but we have enough to get through the year supposedly. And that concludes my report.
Paul, what is the cost that we had assembled for the lighting in the gym at the high school?
I don't know what the exact cost is yet. I think we're still trying to figure that out. It depends on which bulbs and which fixtures we take.
Yeah. Now Amity's gym already has the LED lights. Is that correct?
Amity's gym has LED lights, yes.
Yep, and as I'm sure most know, there will be an initial, upfront higher cost, but then the cost, the length that they last, and then the cost to operate and run them, obviously, counterbalance that initial upfront cost and save us money in the long run. Okay, thank you, Mr. Godwin. The Finance Committee, we actually meet next Tuesday, so we'll have a report at the March board meeting. I don't know, I'm just double checking, Mr. Downey or Mrs. Bossy, do you guys have anything you want to add to that?
No, not really, Jay. We've not met. Been talking back and forth with Jake about starting back our regular meetings in March, hopefully in person. And then, as you had mentioned, we meet on Tuesday with the Financial Advisory Committee to kind of get a global update.
Okay. Thank you. Policy, we will be meeting here. I believe it's the end of March, beginning of April, somewhere in that time. So we'll have some updates from policy in the next couple of months. And OSBA, Mrs. Huster, Mr. Godwin, do you have anything from OSBA?
No.
Chris, you're muted.
I have nothing either. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That is the end of the committee reports this evening, Ms. Bossy.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item 13, did we have any comments sent in, Mr. Phillips?
No.
Okay, anybody have anything for board discussion?
No.
Just condolences to the Gilreath family on the loss of Donnie. Obviously, that's been a pretty big gut wrencher in our district, and for Pam, and condolences to the Haddon family as well, and to Patty in the loss of her mother this past weekend. And it's been a tough weekend for Deer Park.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Anybody else? All right, we have no need for executive session, so if I can have a motion for adjournment, please.
So move.
Second,
All those in favor of adjourning tonight's meeting, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for being here this evening. Stay
Okay, thank
warm.
you.
yeah, yeah,
Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
you too.
Thank
Bye.
you.